Yeah, I'll get started. So I'm Kiki Stavros. I'm Digital Projects Manager for Mented Morn. We've been delivering the Welsh Government Smart Towns Cymru project now since 2021, since the year of Smart Towns. If you haven't already heard of Mented Morn, we're a social enterprise based on Anglesey, but with projects like this one being delivered throughout Wales. We have three main portfolios, so renewable energy, thriving economy, and thriving communities. But everything we do really feeds back into supporting the community. So Chubby Smart comes under our business and economy, obviously, alongside projects. So we deliver part of the Business Wales contract as well. Also have a few other projects scattered around. So we're here today to talk about how smart towns can help you cut costs and grow your business. Not going to go into too much of the techie stuff, you'll be pleased to know. I'll give a quick introduction of what smart towns are, but focusing on how this applies to your business. We'll talk about how you can make efficiencies with data that you might already have, how you can combine that with high street data for things like stuffing and stocking. We will stop there for Q&A because I know there's a lot of information, so we'll stop there for any questions before moving on to the kind of additional technologies that you can implement to support your business. And then what are the next steps that you can take to get there? If you have any questions along the way, just pop them in the chat so that you don't forget them, and then we'll deal with them on the Q&A session. So just briefly about Smart Towns, like I said, we're a Welsh Government funded project. We support councils, communities and businesses to help use data and technology to make smarter decisions. So we offer different kind of expert guidance, not just from ourselves, but from a network of experts that we've got across Wales. We have workshops and events such as this. We also like to showcase success stories from across Wales, and we have a wealth of tools and resources on our website. We also have access to high quality data about the high street across Wales, and I'll talk a little bit about that and how it can support your business shortly. So what is a smart town? For those of you who haven't heard the concept, you might have heard of smart cities. It's basically the same thing, just on a smaller scale. It's about using information from different sources, so sensors, Wi-Fi systems, and the smart bit comes in when you actually use the data to make decisions, to run things more efficiently, more sustainably across the town. And you can see on the map, we've engaged with most of the towns, the kind of primary towns in Wales. There's some kind of smart projects going on in most counties as well, which you can learn more about on our website. So just a little prompt really to kind of understand what we're trying to achieve here. I don't know if anyone can kind of guess what all of these companies have in common. Apart from very similar branding that I've noticed as I was pulling them together. You're welcome to jump in if you'd like to answer, but you don't have to. So I think some kind of instinct would be to say maybe really big brands that are kind of threatening the high street, maybe. That's not actually what I was going for, although, you know, it could be true as well. But all of these companies are data-driven companies. And a lot of the success is put down to the fact that they have really strong data strategies. HelloFresh kind of took over with, you know, the meal kits, and they actually say that their main ingredient is data. So they understand people's patterns, people's habits, and they know how to sell to them. Tesco with their club card that was brought in the 90s, I think. And since then, they've been mapping out our habits. They map out the way that we move through their stores. You know, they place products based on how they want them to sell, you know, based on all of the little intricacies that they know from delving into the data. And I'm sure we could do a whole session on how any of these companies use data. But the point of this is to kind of show that what we're trying to achieve is something that all of these giants have entire teams working on. What we're trying to do is offer kind of taste of those capabilities to the high street to hopefully help them to compete a little bit. And a reminder that when we're talking about data, the word data can be scary and off-putting. What we're actually talking about is knowledge, it's information to make decisions. So please don't be put off by data and technology. So how do we do this? Obviously, these companies have huge budgets, they have loads of resources. But what we're doing is thinking about how we can apply a smart towns concept in a business. And the smart town, we have kind of building blocks, and the basis of that is connectivity. So without being able to connect things, nothing really happens essentially. So your Wi-Fi, you know, for taking your card payments, things like 5G for sending more information, different kind of protocols that you can use. That is the kind of baseline. It's all about kind of being able to use technologies that we need to. And from that connectivity, we're able to collect data. But actually having the technology and the data in themselves doesn't make you a smart town or a smart business. It's when you actually share that data, start to understand it, to manipulate it, to gain the insights from it and make those decisions. That is when you become smart. And this could sound maybe a little bit out of reach and kind of quoting some very big multinationals here. The good news is smaller businesses can actually adapt faster. Your data is a lot easier to manage than what they will be dealing with. And free support is available through Smart Towns Wales. So hopefully you're on the edge of your seats already. So I thought we'd think a little bit first about what kind of data you're already collecting. You might think, oh, I'm not really collecting any data, but if you are running a business, then chances are you do have quite a lot of data to hand. So things like, you know, from a basic perspective, your sales, the number of sales, maybe sales by category, by different items, your average transaction, sales by the day or the time of the week, even by staff members, comparing your online and in-store. You may be collecting information on your customer profiles already. If you have a kind of smart point of sale system, you might have loyalty systems in place that allows you to build a bigger picture of your customers. And you might collect customer contact details as part of your kind of operations. So chances are you've already got quite a bit of data to work with. So hopefully that should set us off to a good start. If you don't already have a kind of smart point of sale system, here's just an example of what that kind of thing would look like. So we're not talking the need for, you know, big data analytics skills. Most platforms these days will give you really easy to use and easy to visualize information in real time. So you can see, you know, what time of day you're busiest, what day of the week, what are the patterns over the months, are you doing better than last year, what kind of factors are affecting that. I'm sure if you've got a business as well, you'll be all over social media. You'll be able to map out your progress on that. You'll be able to understand a little bit about, you know, who's visiting you at least online. From the Facebook analytics or Google analytics and all things like that. So we've done sessions on things like this that you can still find on our YouTube. So it's all about seeing what kinds of things affect your business. Is it the seasons? You know, I'm sure it is to most businesses. Is it weather, events, even current affairs? You know, I'm sure when the budget comes in, lots of businesses will wince as well. Lots of businesses tell us that things like parking charges, road closures, you know, there are so many different things that affect your business. And when you're only looking at your business, it can sometimes be difficult to see what this bigger picture is. It can also be difficult to know whether something is a hunch or if you can back that up by data. As an example, I was working with a business recently who had actually increased their prices because they were really busy, but they weren't seeing a high profit margin. So they thought, right, we'll increase the prices. Doesn't matter if that leads to fewer sales because we'll be increasing the average spend. But actually, when looking at the data, they realised that they'd kind of seen the bottom line go up. They were taking more money. In fact, the average spend had gone down, but they were still just getting more people through the door. So it takes kind of stepping back and looking at the data to be able to realize what is happening and if you are having the effect that you want with your kind of campaigns, with any changes that you're making. So when it comes to looking at the bigger picture, having that high street level data can be really useful. Access to that does depend on the local authority by what is available. So for example, across Gwynedd, Morn and Powys, there's open data. So for most of the main towns, you can have a look and you can see how long people are spending on the high street, what are the busiest days, times, and you also have some data based on demographics from people logging into the Wi-Fi. So you can see, you know, kind of age, gender, things like that of the people who have logged in. Where this isn't available, lots of local authorities will send out monthly reports, or maybe they can share access. So if you are in a position where you think this kind of data could help you, please do let us know and we can see who we can put you in touch with to access that. But in the meantime, as I mentioned earlier on, we do have a data license for BT's Active Intelligence. So this system that has really high quality data for high streets across Wales, and we're able to work with you to see how that data can help you. So very briefly, what is BT's Active Intelligence? So BT owns EE Mobile Network, and they can derive all kinds of trends from this data, from how mobiles ping off masts. You know, they'll have their anonymized data about, you know, from people's mobiles, so they'll be able to see where people are traveling from, how long they're spending on the high street. They'll know their age and gender, and also their kind of income bracket as well. So all this information is really invaluable when we're talking about marketing and modelling a business. So as Smart Towns Wales, we're offering free data consultations for any high street business who would like to better understand this. We have Mehdi on the call as well. So Mehdi is our new high street data advisor, really excited to announce. And Mehdi's got an incredible background. I don't know, Mehdi, if you'd like to just very briefly introduce yourself, being that you're on the call.
Hi, yes, thank you, Kiki. So, yes, recently joined the Smart Towns team to support with the data and advice with how data can support businesses. But my background is, for the last 15 and a half years, is kind of shopping centre management and town centre regeneration. So over the years, I looked after 7 shopping centres in England for 7 years, and within that I was working with 300 businesses at any one time, gathered lots of data, supported national and independent businesses with how they can make profit and be successful, and data was a big factor in that. So looking forward to supporting Kiki and Sarah with their smart town initiatives.
Brilliant, diolch Mehdi. Yeah, really great to have Mehdi on board. So there will be an opportunity if you want to sign up for a session with Mehdi. Yeah, it'd be really exciting to get that set up. So yeah, what Mehdi will be doing is delving into how this high street data can help us make those efficiencies in your business. So from managing your staffing, so this business in Beddgelert was using it. So they were able to see the times that were busier in the village and know when to put extra staff on. They're also using the demographic information to help model their business. So this was an outdoor adventure company, and they knew that in half term, based on the demographic, they would need certain kind of equipment to be able to best kind of address the business needs. Another business, bakery. So we've had quite a few bakeries actually say that the data is really useful for them to minimize waste. So they know the busy times on the high street, they know that on a quiet day, they're not going to bake as much. So that's obviously using their resources more efficiently. This business as well uses a lot of social media, and particularly looks at the data of like when the best time to post is. Obviously, this sounds really basic and obvious if you already know that. But if you're putting a lot of time and effort into filming content and reels and things like that, you want to make sure that you're getting kind of maximum impact in that. And that you're sending those posts out when people are scrolling on their phones and not just, when you get a chance to post. And there's all kinds of tools that can help you to do things like that. This business in Mold was one of the first to kind of to come on board with smart towns, really. And they had high street Wi-Fi installed in the town. And from the data, they were able to see that Monday is actually one of the busier days on the high street. But traditionally, all of the businesses would close on a Monday. And we've heard that, different towns have these different historical days where they close. And actually, the data often shows that these aren't the quiet days, that there are people on the street on those days, and the businesses are missing out. So Richard actually took a leap of faith based on that data, opened on a Monday and found that it is a really good day. And he's hoping now that more and more businesses will be able to have faith in that data, will open, and then obviously it helps everyone, doesn't it? Kind of the more kind of bustling the high street is. Richard also collects loads of his own data as well that kind of informs how he places things around the shop. So you'll see that certain things aren't selling based on the data. You can check all that out in the case studies as well. I won't go on too much about every single one. We've also developed a tool because we found it really interesting for people to compare their own business with the high street. I said before about these kinds of external factors and not maybe being aware of them until you're faced with like the cold hard data. So this is just a really basic spreadsheet that people can use. Obviously, there are much more sophisticated ways of doing this. But yeah, anyone can put this data in and use it, anonymously. It doesn't have to be shared with us at all. But this anonymous business, they monitored their footfall compared to the high street and found that in January it was all kind of where you'd expect it to be. Quite a good conversion rate, really. Quite a good portion of the people that were on the high street were in their business, let's say. But by August, when the high street footfall goes up, they don't actually see an increase in their sales or in their shop footfall. So you'd start to think then, what are the reasons for that? Who are the people that are there in August? Is this a business that appeals primarily to locals? And then, the locals go away and the tourists aren't attracted to their business for whatever reason? Is it an advertising issue? Do they need to do more kind of signage, more marketing to those people, or is it just that their offering isn't appropriate for the people that are on the high street, and do they need to kind of diversify their offering and do something that appeals more to them? So you can try different things then and see, what the data shows. Like I said with my previous example, they tried something that they thought would work, it actually had the opposite. But obviously you can't know for sure until you see that in the data. Another really good use of the data is using the space effectively. So this is more from a kind of town management point of view, but this is from a market owner in Pontypridd, just to kind of drive home the fact that the data is for everyone. We have lots of people say, and probably rightly so, oh, I know my high street like hand. I know I've been in business all these years. But this market owner had 30 years of experience. But after installing footfall sensors in the market, he said, if he'd have worked things out purely on his knowledge and experience, he'd have been wrong, because what the data showed actually led to really big opportunities for building up the businesses. So I'll stop there to see if there's any questions about what we've covered so far. Kind of run through it quite quickly, but no, I can't see the chat. Is there anything in the chat, Sarah?
There's no questions in the chat at the moment.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I'll carry on. If you do think of anything, I know we are a small group, so feel free to jump in with anything. Okay, so yeah, run through the technology for the town pretty quickly. So we'll just talk a little bit about the kind of additional technologies. So I'd say there's kind of the two parts of a smart town support. It's using the existing data, but it's also looking at how we can use other technologies to boost businesses or to, to support high streets. So touched on, comparing your business footfall to the high street. That can be done by using, your own kind of data or even a clicker, but it can be achieved through using sensors. There are also opportunities for kind of automating certain business kind of routine things, talking about kind of cutting costs and improving the services, monitoring assets to set up alerts, and reducing losses. Obviously, monitoring energy and resource use is something that's really important to businesses and to everyone at the moment. So these kinds of technologies are something that can help. And this probably should have come first. So when we're talking about technologies, I'm not talking about, really far-fetched things. It's stuff that you're probably doing already that you might just be able to get a bit more out of. And your Wi-Fi. So if you're offering Wi-Fi and you've got your password written on a board somewhere, you're probably missing out on loads of value that you could be getting from that. And that's a service that you're paying for your customers to have. And it is fair to ask them for something back. I know Booking.com have recently stopped giving hotels their clients' email addresses. So hotels aren't able to directly contact their guests. Obviously, the reason for that is Booking.com want to keep that data. They want people to book directly through them. Whereas for the hotels, that is really valuable data for them to be able to get those return visits, to send out an email offering 10% off your next stay, something like that. So having that contact with your customers is absolutely invaluable. You can also use your Wi-Fi to monitor how long people are spending in the business. You can use it to map out, if you've got quite a big shop or if you've got, a chain even, you can map out where your hotspots are. You can ask people for simple questions when they're logging into the Wi-Fi. If you want to know more about, their gender, age group, what language they prefer to be communicated in, purpose of their visit. Or you can use, something like Facebook to get them to sign in. Then you have, you have more followers on social media. And again, you have a way of contacting them after their visit. You can encourage reviews. Some people can send a kind of request for feedback after that. So loads and loads of data that can be so important to the business. I saw this cool example as well of people actually using the Wi-Fi login as a loyalty system. Obviously, everyone loses their loyalty cards. We don't really carry them around in a wallet anymore. So I thought that was a quirky little way of doing it. So yeah, just simple things that you're probably already doing, but you could maybe be making a lot more out of. And then the other kind of technology called the Internet of Things, which again sounds kind of far-fetched, but it's basically about connecting any inanimate object to the internet in a way that they can communicate, collect data, and perform functions autonomously. So switching your lights off or your heating off through your Hive, your kind of Ring doorbell, your Alexa, your smartwatches. I'm sure you're using some of these, if not a few of them. So you're probably already using the Internet of Things. And I won't go into loads of detail about them, but there are loads of different sensors that can be used to help support your businesses. And this is just one of them. And when we're talking about these, we're not talking about, really expensive things. A sensor like this, I think, can cost about £50 or something. So, really affordable tech to put to get that feedback. So you've probably seen them, in toilets and things. So businesses use them obviously for just standard feedback. You can find patterns there. Do you get more smiley faces when a certain member of staff is serving? Do you get more sad faces when the weather's bad? What are the things that affect people? You can also use it to allocate resources. So, if you have a few different toilets, you can use it you know, once the smiley faces start going down, you could send someone to clean then, rather than having someone cleaning on the hour every hour. These kinds of things, you know, to just help you work a bit more efficiently. Something that has really kind of struck a chord with butchers and other caterers has been temperature monitoring. So really simple, again, cheap sensors can be put in your fridges and freezers and in your hot holding to make sure that they're maintained at safe temperatures. So what you get with this, obviously, there's the kind of the double benefit. You don't have to go around, you know, taking the temperature, reporting it for every single fridge and freezer. You have the peace of mind that it is actually being done and that it's not your staff just ticking to say that they've done it. But you also know instantly, you get an alert if something is out of place. So whereas, you know, a fridge or a freezer could break on a Sunday when you're not there and you won't know until Monday when you come in and everything is ruined and wasted, you would get an alert as soon as it goes, you know, out of the set parameter by text or email for you to go and manage to save your stock. So this is a pilot that we did through the Hub Mented, the Enterprise Hub in Anglesey. And we know that there are a few other butchers as well that have already installed these kind of out of their own pocket as well, because of the value to them. We also did a pilot in a coffee shop as well. So they were looking at kind of changing their business model and doing a lot more hot holding. So we put them in their fridges and freezers, but also they could know then that their hot holding was safe, so they could just churn out food knowing that it was at the right temperature. So things like this, that when, you know, your staff, when things are tight, just all these little things that you can save time on, saving money, can be really efficient. And like I said, I've given a really, really quick overview of this. We are having an in-depth session on the kinds of sensors that can be used for business efficiencies. That is next Tuesday, the 26th. That is with Tom from UK IoT. But I'd be happy, I know we have got time at the end, if you have kind of business cases that we can kind of discuss. But otherwise, I'll go on to kind of next steps. So obviously we have lots of training sessions coming up. We have an opportunity to register for a data consultation with Mehdi and the team. We also have, as I said, loads of resources on our website. And we also signpost to further support from Business Wales as well. So here are the sessions that we've got coming up. Like I said, sensors for business efficiency. That will really go into depth of, you know, the tech that's involved, but mostly focus on the benefits for businesses. And Tom will be able to advise on, you know, installation, price, all things like that. He's a real fount of knowledge. We then have a session on building the nighttime economy. This is delivered by Anna, who has recently got a PhD in nighttime economy in Australia, and she advises big cities in Australia. So real kind of expert knowledge coming in here. And obviously Mehdi's invaluable knowledge as well in the sessions, one for businesses and one for kind of high street managers. So loads of good stuff coming up. We also have a general overview of smart towns that we do every month as well, if you want more kind of smart towns based information. So that is it. I've done a real whistle stop tour because I think the value comes from the kind of questions and things and discussion. If there's anything else that you know that you'd like to know more about at this point.
Hi, Kiki. I'll just add that, you know, I thought it was really interesting, and also the example with the Pontypridd market. You know, when somebody has 30 years of experience and knows the market, it's fascinating actually when you put sensors in. It tells you something different, something new. So really interesting that, and I think that's a good example to kind of share with, like, you know, share with other markets and stuff, because people's trends, demands, you know, patterns are always changing. Retail's always evolving.
Absolutely.
So keeping on top of that constantly, it's one of the challenges kind of businesses have. So that's really interesting. But no, great, thank you. And like Kiki says, we're available here to sit down with businesses or groups to kind of go through, I guess, business support, isn't it? And how we can help, and mainly by identifying maybe visions, business visions, where they want to go, and also maybe problems, and use data to kind of look at solving those problems.
Brilliant, diolch Eddie. I'm not sure if you're talking, Jan, you're on mute.
Sorry, I managed to get my camera back on, but anyway. I was just thinking we have a market down in Tenby, and I think it's got something like maybe 10, 12 stall holders, and there's a couple of voids at the moment. But in terms of that being a cluster of businesses, obviously you the Smart Towns work we've been doing with yourself and our consultants Owen Davis that we're working with at the moment, we can't actually directly access the BT Intelligence, what was it, Intelligence app or whatever, BT, yeah, BT Intelligence. But in terms of actually, if there are a cluster of, say, market stall holders, would you be able to do something like a team session with them as a group of traders, and therefore demonstrate to them? They'd be eligible, wouldn't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, these are early thoughts because I haven't approached them. Just checking out the opportunity, really. But certainly, with some current work we're doing, I think that might be quite interesting because I can see us. We own the market, so we could actually put sensors in place. But in terms of actually introducing why the sensors are there, what kind of data we could share with those traders, but also maybe taking it further to ask them whether they would be interested as a cluster to have a demonstration, you know, and get that access around what is happening in that area of Tenby, maybe something then that we're opening up for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the BT data as well, you know, it is fantastic, but it only goes so far. It's not going to tell you the granular level in the market of, you know, which areas have the highest footfall and things like that. So yeah, it should give them a good taste for kind of what they can achieve. So yeah, I'd be more than happy to set that up.
Because in terms of that catchment, you say it's not granular to the market, but it'd be granular to, say, Tenby Town Centre, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And it would be really useful to see where people are travelling from. So we did a similar exercise with Mull. It's obviously another market town. And you know, really mapped out where people are travelling from and where they're not travelling from. That's always interesting.
Yeah, okay. Well, that is maybe something I'll try and follow up. It'll be this week or a couple of weeks after I've had my leave.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay,
brilliant.
excellent. That's useful. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I've seen something in the chat. Sorry. Diolch, Nia. So real food for thought on how we put these things in place to assist with daily business. Thank you. I don't know if anyone else has any questions at this point.
No.
Okay, well, yeah, sorry, early finish. I'm sure no one is sorry about that, actually. I'm sure everyone's really pleased to go off and enjoy their evening. But if you do think of any questions following this, or if you want to have a chat separately, please do get in touch with us, with one of the team. And yeah, look forward to taking things forward.
Okay, thank you very much.
Brilliant.